Hey everybody, welcome to the Real World Prepper. This video is for those of you that want to go it alone. Stick around, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Beautiful day out here. This is a local park adjacent to a neighborhood in the town in which I used to live, which I don't live too awful far from now, but we did move, as you all know, to the country with some acreage and all that good stuff. So, you know, I did that video, Rebuilding Society After SHTF, and I had some different responses, some comments, some emails, some different things, and I've heard this notion before, and I'm sure you guys have too, about going it alone. You know, isolating yourself. I've also had some comments about, you know, there's no chance we're going to rebuild society. All of these kinds of things. Let me just address them, not in any particular order, but just as best as I can. First of all, there will be some sort of society, okay? There will be some sort of social order that will come when groups of people get together. That's inevitable. It will have to be that, because you can't just fly by the seat of your pants, especially when you're in a group of people. If you're alone, or you and a family unit or a group of friends or whatever are alone, you may have an easier time coming, you know, not living by a set of rules or something to that effect. But I don't think people are going to survive in a lone wolf situation, or even lone family unit situations. The reason for that is, well, all right, I'll give you a real simple reason. Let's say you got a husband and wife and 2.5 children, right? Average American family, I think. And you're gonna hole up on your own. Let's say you've got gardens, you've got animals, you've got stocks put up, you're even in a rural position, you know, etc., etc., etc. Well, your food's gonna run out. Your crops are going to fail. You know, there's no guarantee that you're going to have effective crops. Your animals are going to get sick and die, or you're going to slaughter them and they're not going to have reproduced. All of these things are factors and potentials, okay? You just, all you're doing is prolonging inevitable death, in my opinion. There are surely exceptions to every rule. That being said, there's probably an exception to this one as well that I'm talking about. There are probably people who can, they're going to be few and far between in my opinion, who can sustain as individuals or a small group of 2 to 4 people. But that's going to be, again, the exception and not the rule. And these people are going to struggle, in my opinion. But more importantly, for there to be a semblance of order, and there does need to be order, okay? We do not do well. I mean, think about the nomadic tribes, right? These guys, they wandered looking for what they needed, you know, back in throughout history, you know. They failed. They had lots of early deaths at young ages from members, and I mean, you can study this stuff in history. So there does need to be an order to what we do. There does need to be some semblance of rules, of the way things ought to be set up, of a system, if you will. Now, I am not advocating going back to this system that we currently live in. This is a welfare system. This is where, as we all know, this system is where our government, our benevolent government, takes and takes and takes and takes from working, tax-paying people and gives and redistributes to sluggards and sloths and people who do not work and take care of themselves. This is the whole welfare system, the government handouts. This is not the system that we want. If I can reference Steve Smith at Integrated Preparedness book series again, This is exactly one of the topics that is covered in his book series, the Stonemont series. So, you know, if you pull together people and resources, right, and come up with a system of how to manage people and resources, and look, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, all right, but you have a much better chance of survival in a group. All right, I'll give you another example. Again, husband, wife, 2.5 kids, holding up for themselves. They've got everything I mentioned before. They've been homesteading, blah, blah, blah. They got all this stuff, right? One person catches wind of them and their setup. It's over. All right? Again, 2 adults, 2.5 children, 2.5 children. We're going with that adage. Somebody has to be on guard all the time. There has to be 24-hour security. And if you're in a spot that you think is big enough, broad enough, rural enough to lone wolf it and stay isolated and stay out there by yourself, then that implies that you've got a pretty big spot. So 2 adults, 2.5 children, who's doing the watching? Okay, and where are they watching? They're not watching all corners of your property. They're not watching all the ins and outs. They're not watching the roads, you know, a mile or 2 up from the property. You know, that alone implies that one would need multiple people working together for a common cause. Yes, when you put multiple people working together for a common cause, you will have issues. There will be disagreements. There will be problems. I talked about that in that earlier video yesterday. You know, these are things that will have to be dealt with and ironed out as people put these things together. I don't want a welfare society like we have today. I don't want a society that pushes you know, a leftist liberal agenda that pushes the agendas of all the poor, deprived minorities that don't have anything because, you know, the white man took it from them and all this garbage. That is a bunch of hoo-ha. Okay, that is not the system that I want to live in. I want to live in a system where anybody of any color, of any creed, of any nationality can live together and sustain if everyone is pulling their weight. That is going to require multiple people. Multiculturalism and diversity is part of the death of this country. And I am not advocating nor suggesting that we as different types of people, me as a white guy, you know, others in the black community or in the, you know, Chinese American community or Indian American or Muslim or whatever. I'm not sitting here saying and advocating that they should stay to themselves. All right, everybody should get in separate groups. However, I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. I'm just not saying that that's not what I advocate for. That is not a primary goal. If that works itself out on its own, that might be to the better of each of those communities respectively, because they will understand and honor and respect their ways, their culture, what they think is right amongst themselves. I don't think that we're going to rebuild a society after SHTF that's going to be a national one. I think it will be fragmented. I think you'll have this little society over here and this little society over here, and if there is a semblance of order and security and ways to sustain those individual societies, then when they do encounter one another, there can be a better chance of cohesion, of working together for a common cause. If there's a need, you know, let's say one pocket group, society, whatever, that's got their own set of rules and things set up, needs something from another, there's some trade opportunities, just like countries do, right? Just like societies back before we had borders and countries in a lot of areas worked together. Yes, there was violence in some of these instances. Yes, there were times when this did not work out. That will absolutely be the case in and after the SHTF scenario. So none of what I'm telling you is a perfect solution. But what I can tell you, I believe that an absolutely imperfect thought and idea is the fact that you are going to isolate yourself and hold out in some bunker or in some tree house or out in the woods or whatever with you and your small band of friends or family or whatever the case may be, and live and sustain a healthy and profitable and prosperous and happy life. I don't believe that's going to happen under those circumstances, okay? And frankly, I would like to live under those circumstances. Yes, life is going to be hard. Yes, we're going to go back to working and toiling the soil and building with our hands, and it's, you know, you're not going to get that instant gratification from the internet and things of that nature, potentially. But we can live together a happy and healthy life that involves socializing and having friends and family and having a common cause and a common bond, okay? So these are just my thoughts on the matter. I think the lone wolf going it alone is frankly the wrong attitude. I think that's why community building is so important. That's why I think that building alliances, coming up with friendships and all of these things that I talk about, like-minded individuals, that's why it's very important to lay that foundation now while we still can. Good luck to you if you're going to go it alone, but be prepared. Be prepared to see ugliness that you're not going to be able to stop, okay? You know, you're, again, mom, dad, 2.5 kids. Well, wait till the 10 rogues come up your road wanting what you got. You're not going to stop them, buddy. It's not going to happen. So think about that in your plans. If you are a lone wolfer kind of guy, at least consider what I'm saying. I say it because I care. I say it because I don't want you to end up that way, you know? And another thing is, when you, the lone wolfer or the small community or small family, isolation family, when you run out, somebody gets hurt, the crops fail, whatever happens, you're going to go looking for something else. And if you're not willing to play along in a team, it's going to get ugly for you, buddy. All right, thanks a bunch. This has been The Real World Prepper. We'll catch you next time.